Hello folks, so this is my third webinar in the series of Microsoft Dynamics CRM ramp up for new users. In today's webinar we are going to cover the features and the marketing area in Microsoft Dynamics. So let's have a quick look at the agenda and then we will jump into the topic. So today's agenda is, of course, we will be covering marketing lists, the nature of marketing lists, as they could be static, dynamic, and the members types in the marketing list that you can target with the new campaigns. Then we have a feature in Microsoft Dynamics CRM called Quick Campaigns. Then we have full-fledged campaigns, in which we have some features like planning the campaign, execution, and some activities that generate out of the campaign. And then, yes, the last and very, very interesting part of the campaign loop effectivity that we will go through. So, having said that, let's jump into the portal. Here I have opened my Microsoft Dynamics CRM a while ago. I'll just refresh to the home page. As you might remember, a little bit about how to navigate within Microsoft Dynamics CRM web application in the web interface. So I just click the home button here, and under here we can see what areas in the product are provided for the users. So let's take a look at the marketing area. And the marketing area, of course, we see leads, marketing lists, campaigns, and quick campaigns. So let's start with marketing lists. So what is the marketing list about? You can say this right here that it's about the people in your customer base or in your prospect that you want to target with certain services, with offering the services, with offering the products that you are about to sell in the market. So it's really about, in real world, you have a list of people that you would like to send a letter to, you like to send emails or whatever. So let's take a look at the marketing list. Interesting. We very often get to see this in Microsoft CRM Online, but no worries. So I think I need to refresh the home page, but anyway, it works now. Let's hope it keeps working. So we have a very similar interface as we see on other entities like accounts and contacts. Yeah, there's a view for my active marketing list. I will just go on and create a new marketing list out of this. So as usual, I provide a name. So offering for, let's give it a realistic name, summer products, summer vacation, let's say services. And yeah, we will get back to this list type, but let's go with the static. There are two options in this. You can have a dynamic or a static list. We can get back to this, but let's see, target at. In market list, you can actually add, in CRM, you can actually have only one type of members that could be added. It could be either all accounts, it could be all contacts, or all leads. So, and once you have created a marketing list, you cannot change the member type. So let's take a look at how many accounts, or we can actually start with contacts. And then I'll just save it. I'll get back to the list type. I save the marketing list. And as soon as you save, you will see that this members feature is now enabled. And here is the significance of static versus dynamic. And you can see once it is saved, you cannot change the list type, you cannot change the member types, and you cannot change some of the other calculated values. And of course the owner and description. All right, something from the, okay, so let's start adding members, and here we'll see the usage of static versus dynamic. So once we start, we try to add a member, we see some options here. You can add members using lookup, you can add members using advanced find, you can remove members using advanced find, you can evaluate existing members. So we start by using simple feature, the first feature called add using lookup. Interesting. So you can see that you end up in a dialog box where you can see what contacts you want to add, and you pick and choose your contacts from the defined views in the system. So let's say I take 4 out of 14 contacts from my data, and I move ahead. So now these contacts are added. Here is the thing. Static means that these contacts are added as something that you have physically set for the marketing list. If I had chosen the dynamic list type, this would have been a list, of course, but a list based on some filtered views, or you can say some queries that you have in the system, and those queries actually generate different data based on whatever data is there in the system at that specific point in time. For the static list, the important thing to remember is that you can add the members and they stay there. They are not moved unless you move them out. For a dynamic list, you can actually define a criteria, and that criteria, whenever it executes, adds the members to the marketing list. So let's go with this simple feature first. And now we have 4 members, and we want to start with some quick campaigns. Okay, what is a quick campaign versus the campaign? Well, quick campaign is like you have as a word, as the name also says, it's quick. I mean, you have 5 contacts in the system, or 5 specific contacts who you want to send a specific email to, and that should be there and then. You don't have to plan anything. You don't have to go through any cost or budget of planning this activity in your sales and marketing. So you just go ahead and start doing simple emails or simple phone call activities for those contacts. So now we have got 4 contacts in the system, 4 contacts in this marketing list, and we want to just target those contacts with a simple email to be sent out. So this opens up as a wizard, step-by-step wizard. We can quickly go through this and give it a name. So we say services offered during summer vacations. So we say we want to send them the email, and this is where you actually choose what should be generated out of the campaign. So for example, should the sales guys be making some phone calls? Should the sales guy or the marketing guys or the customer service guys, they should be going out to attend some appointments with the customer? Should this be sending out some letters, fax, emails? So these are the out-of-box features that are available. And as far as quick campaign goes, you cannot actually change much here. That's all you got that you can possibly do with quick campaigns. The next feature is that who will be doing those activities? Will that be the person who is executing this quick campaign? Would that be the person who is owning the contact involved in the quick campaign? So for example, I have chosen 4 contacts, and they are all from different owners in the system. So different salespeople people have the ownership of those contacts. So should the respective sales guys be making those should be owning those emails. And remember that marketing in any business is evaluated later on based on how much of the marketing activity materialized into the sales. So once you have these activities linked to the people in your organization, sales and marketing guys, they can get their share out of the sales once successful sales happen. So in that case, this ownership of the activities that are generated out of the campaign will matter to determine the effectivity. So let's say I just let myself be owner of those activities, and then we can see there's option to use a template, or you can actually say I want to use a template and I don't want to provide a text here, or you can simply provide some text here. Let's take a look at template. So we have got some templates in the system. I can say contact reconnect, and this is a template that I'm choosing for sending out as so you can see that this template has got some pre-filled description, subject, and whatever. So these are out-of-box possible templates, and you can also create your own templates for your own needs. But just to take a look at what kind of template is available. And yeah, who is sending those emails? You can actually, based on your organization setting, you can actually select a no reply user here who is sending out this email. But for now, let's just carry on with out-of-box feature. And as we have taken the email content from the template, the subject is grayed out for us, and similar is the body. And just one more thing to show, in the case of emails, as I just mentioned, that we could determine the effectivity of the marketing. We might choose to, or the manager might choose to close those email activities as actions being performed, because emails will be sent out by the system automatically, as compared to phone calls and appointments which you make yourself go in and make manually. Emails are sent out automatically, so email activities you might like to be closed right there once they are sent out. So I just mark this as completed, and let's see what happens out of this. So what we are doing is that we, for selected records, and yeah, let's see what happens out of the quick campaign. So now the quick campaign is created in the system, and let's see what happened out of it. Once it executed, what did it do? It actually created 4 emails, and who is the recipient on those emails? Let's see. These are these emails are sent out to the specific persons that we had picked for the marketing list. And if we go to these contacts, for example, I open one of those, we can also see those activities on the, so this is the activity that we just, so you can see that the title is taken from the template, the subject of the email is taken from the template that we picked, and automatically the email is sent out. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the quick campaign. And similarly, if you create phone calls, they will also sit in the system as linked activities on those contacts and the users who are involved, who have been sending, who is receiving the email, who is otherwise involved in the activity. For example, in the appointment, you can have people who are required to attend, people who are optional to attend. So all those guys will see those activities as the related activities in the system. So if I now move to the dashboards area in the home page, don't mind this error. We can see the activities dashboard, and you can see where are my activities. Here are my activities in the bottom of this dashboard, and you can see that under these activities I will be able to see under all activities all the emails that I have just sent out of those. And this is an interesting feature here, that you can see that the regarding on these emails are actually the quick campaign. This is an important feature when we come to the last topic in our agenda for today, in campaign loop effectivity. So we just have to remember that regarding is set on those activities which are generated out of the campaigns. So let's take a look at how this activity actually looks. So this is sent out by me, sent to a contact. It has a title, subject, of course, no attachment, and it has a regarding. And the regarding, if I click on the regarding, that's actually the quick campaign. So yeah, pretty much it with the quick campaign. I could create another campaign and I could change the activity that should be generated out of the campaign. But let's take a look at that from marketing list perspective. So we were in this marketing list. So marketing list that we had created, and we had created quick campaign. So let's say we just create another quick campaign very quickly. Phone calls to be made to the contacts. So again, who is the owner and who is the, and you can see this thing is grayed out for phone call, appointment, letter, except for the email. So yeah, who's the owner? I let it be default, and I let it take the marketing list that we are coming from. So now we say take the subject, make a phone call to contact for summer products offering. The call from call to grayed out because of course that has to be picked by the system. Who is calling? That is going to be the owner of the activity. Just in the last step we had selected, that's going to be myself. And then who are we going to call to? The person who we will call. That's the contact. And the phone number, of course, that is also grayed out because that will be filled on based on the contact's phone number. We can just provide a description here for the sales guy. Sales guy here is myself. So when I go into my activities dashboard and I open this activity, I should see what I have to do on this activity. Please make a call to this contact to talk about summer product offerings ASAP. All right, that's a bit strong, but anyway, yeah, we go in and we let it create, and then we go to the quick campaign, and we see is there anything generated. This will be generated in a while. In progress. Yeah. So we got 4 phone calls, each to the corresponding contact. And if I go to my activity dashboard again, I will see those phone calls, and they will be linked to the quick campaign also. So, and here you can see that these activities are not closed. So if I look at closed activities, I see those emails. I should see those emails somewhere. But yeah, those emails are actually not sent out because we have not integrated our email sending system with MS Dynamics CRM. So that's why those are not closed yet. But these phone calls that I just made, they show up as the top activities because they are recently generated, and of course this is sorted by some default date. So let's take a look at the activity that's generated out of it, and you can see that the phone call is pre-filled, that the phone number is pre-filled from the contact's phone number. And again, the regarding is the quick campaign. And again, remember this feature. This will come in very handy. So this was quick campaign. Now the next question or the next topic is campaign, or why do we have campaigns when we already have quick campaigns? Campaigns are like in a typical organization, campaigns are planned, campaigns are estimated for the budget, because campaigns have a life cycle that they follow through and execute for, or they actually last for a few days, weeks, months. Usually start from few weeks to few months, and then they end up with some kind of data that is generated from the campaigns, which should end up as input for the sales. So let's take a look at the campaigns. Or actually, before that, let's take a quick look at why we have dynamic marketing lists. So this marketing list was actually a static one. We will create a new one, which we'll create as dynamic. Let's create a dynamic marketing list. We say this is dynamic, and we say the target is again contact, just keeping it simple. And as soon as we save, we will of course get this area enabled, and also the campaigns and quick campaigns area will be enabled. So now remember that in the static list, we had the option to add members from some set of options that were available, like lookup, advanced find, and evaluate members. And when we perform that action, the result of the search was right away available, and we just added the result to the marketing list. In a dynamic marketing list, it's like you have a filter, you have a query in the system that will always generate some data, and you want the output of that query to be added to your marketing list. That's like more for the planning purposes, more for the long running campaigns, or let's say you have some campaigns which repeat after every, or let's say some campaigns which repeat every Christmas. So you have some marketing list which is based on the contacts or the accounts or the leads that meet the criteria or that are more effective for the marketing. So you have some kind of a query defined here. I'll just take a simple query, active contacts in the system. You can of course have more. Let's say you can have address 1 city begins or equals, let's say we take that as Chicago. So we just take a look at what data do we get. Well, we don't get any data. Back to query, we can say address 1 city contains data. That means there is some city mentioned on the address 1, and we see there are some contacts out of it. So let's say now this is just giving a preview that what will be added to the marketing list as a result of executing this query. So we say just use this query. Now whatever has happened, it has added to the marketing list now. But if there's another contact which meets the same criteria, and you use the marketing list at the time of using that marketing list, that contact is meeting that criteria, that additional contact will also be available will also be included for the campaign. So that's the difference, that at the time of the usage of marketing list in a campaign or a quick campaign, the static versus dynamic marketing list type makes a difference. Static list will always have those members added which were initially added to the list. Dynamic will evaluate based on the query and then add it to the campaign. So that's the only difference between the static and a dynamic. And of course the rest of the features are the same. You can create quick campaign. I won't repeat that for now. There's another interesting or a handy feature that you can create. For example, you created a marketing list and you want to save that result of marketing list for now, as of now, to another list. So you can say, I want to copy this list as a static list. What will happen is that it will create another list. It will actually probably ask the name for the list, and it will take the currently added members to the dynamic list, and it will add those to another list which will be static. So that's like a snapshot of your existing marketing list as a static marketing list. Now you can see that so it has automatically provided some name. You can actually change it afterwards. So I just save and close, and we go back to the list, and we'll see that we have three lists. One is dynamic, the first one that we created in the beginning. Then the third one is static based on the dynamic list. Okay, I would like to now move to the more elaborated area of the campaigns. Let's take a quick look and see how far can we reach with the campaigns for now. Please post your comments if you have any about this quick campaigns or any questions. I would be happy to answer any concerns or questions for now. Let's add a campaign. Just like we added a quick campaign, we have a feature here to add a quick campaign here, but let's just do it in a more descriptive way. So this is a campaign. I am going to give it a name, just say summer products campaign year 2016. You might have a campaign code that you can provide here. Campaign type is all the data that is, this is additional data to your campaigns, planning, budgeting, estimation. Again, you can see there's some scheduled start, scheduled end. I will provide a scheduled start date at least for today. That will help in executing this campaign. Actual start also being just yesterday. And again, there's some more data that you can provide on the campaign based on whatever. And then you can see that this has all the information that you don't get to provide in the quick campaigns, but in the larger campaigns area, you have this feature. And this is the responses that we'll get back to when we touch our last topic, campaign loop effectivity. So so we have provided the name, we have provided the currency, we have campaign type. Let's say it's direct marketing. There's no difference really, but much difference about it. So now we save it, and as soon as you save, you can see that you will get to add marketing lists here. You can actually add directly leads here, and you can have campaign activities. A campaign activities is something that will be generated out of the campaign execution, and they will be linked to the campaign, just like we have campaign in the case of quick campaign. But there's one more thing about campaign that you can actually provide, and actually campaign activities are, there is details. I'm looking for a feature called planning activities. So now in a typical campaign in any organization, you might have some planning activities. So for example, the people who are responsible for running the campaign, you have created teams for the campaign, and each team is responsible for making it happen to reach the end objective and goal, and that is having a successful campaign and to be run afterwards. Now planning activity is like, okay, somebody needs to get hold of the resources for renting a hall somewhere in the town. Somebody is responsible for making all the arrangements for putting the desks there, all the logistics planning that has to happen. That you can actually add here, and that's not just data, that is actually helpful information in finding the cost of the campaign. So let's say we want to add a campaign activity that is we want to have a planning activity where you can say that people have to make phone calls, or people have to send out letters, or let's say so make phone call regarding um, renting uh, renting space for 3 months, right? And there's somebody somewhere in the system. This could be anybody. So let's say I am talking to a company who is providing this facility. I just provide the name here, and the number will be taken again, and just some details. So this will be, of course, an outgoing call, and I say there's a due date on the phone call that somebody has to make it happen by 31st of May. And who is going to actually do this? That will be, of course, right now myself only. And as it's a save and close. Now this will appear as a planning activity. And to add to this, you can actually have these activities. You can have, for example, it's not just phone call. It is something different, which is specific to your business. So there's an activity that somebody has to perform in your team, which is not just phone call, not just email. It's something that actually has to happen, and that has a cost of execution. So you can actually create a custom activity, and that we'll see in the customizations area, and you can actually make it as a planning activity for the campaign. And you can see this will appear as planning activity for the campaigns. And of course, the person who is supposed to execute that will also see that. Let's go back to our campaign and let's try some execution of the campaign. Now, for now, we don't have any marketing list at the campaign. We will simply add one here from the ones that we created before. So we can pick any of these. Let's say I want to pick the first one where I had 4 members. And here, this is something important to remember. At the moment, we have not created any activities that campaign should be generating. So for example, I have not specified that this campaign, when it is executed, should create emails. This campaign should create this, also some phone calls, also some letters, or some other like SMS activity. So what should happen once I create those activities after adding the market list? Yeah, please take this market list also as for those activities which are not yet distributed. Like phone calls are not distributed to the sales guys in the system at the moment. They will be later on, but at the moment we are just creating the campaign. We are just preparing it. So I say, okay, let's just add it by default. And now I say, okay, I want to create. I want to now when it gets time to execute the campaign, what should it do? Okay, let's see. It should create some emails. So here is the channel, and here is what it will do. So you say this campaign should create some. Let's start with phone calls. So we say phone calls to be created. And yeah, and as soon as I say, you'll see that the market list that I had specified on the campaign will be added here. See this? So now on the same campaign, if I want to say, okay, remember that in quick campaign you could only create one type of activities. In the campaign, there's another difference that you can actually create. Okay, I want to create some phone calls. I want to create some emails. I want to create some letters. All those you can plan here, and let's say emails to be sent out. Email and I say save and close. Simple stuff. So this campaign, when executed, should create emails to the targeted marketing list members, and should also create some phone calls. Now let's try to execute this campaign. First of all, we need to say, okay, this is ready to launch, so please mark it as ready to launch, and save it, and then go to the campaign activity that we want to distribute. So out of this distribution, what will happen is that, yeah, same dialog that you see. Okay, I want to send out email to all those contacts, and this actually you can customize as part of your execution plan on the campaign instead of having to execute it on the activity itself. I'm just trying to locate the use the template. So we cannot actually use the template here. So we say who is being sent this email from, myself, and subject offering on summer products. Yeah, we could not select this as template because our channel was email, not email by merge. There was another option where you could actually take the email by merge. So now some details here, and then we just distribute, and if the campaign is ready to launch, this should actually create activities. Same stuff as we saw in quick campaign, and we then distribute it, and let's see any activities generated out of this. Yeah, some activities are generated out of this. Now these emails are sent out, and they are again linked to the campaign where they are created from. So if I open one of these activities here in my activities dashboard, I see some emails to be sent out offering on summer products, and let's see if this is campaign or quick campaign based email. Emails to be, yeah, this is actually the difference. This is now linked to the campaign, this is linked to the campaign activity, not the quick campaign. Now a quick overview of what can we do out of this. Now this email is, assume this email is sent out. Right now you see that this is not sent out because you have not integrated with the email system. But let's say if this is sent out, what you want to do, you want to promote this as a response, and response promotion will actually link this email as another record to the campaign out of which the email was generated, and that will be then recorded as the response on the campaign, like an output of a campaign. So as soon you can actually train your marketing users that as soon as you make the phone call, or you send the email, just go in and convert that to a response, or promote that to a response, because that will then record your activity as something that you did on the campaign through execution of the actual activity. So now if I say the campaign response is created for the campaign, I will go to the campaign. This is my campaign, and I will see who has actually worked on this campaign all through. Since the activities were generated, who has really worked on this campaign. If I go, I'll see that there's at least one response generated on the campaign. Now what can we do with this response? Let's say your responses are generated, you executed your campaign, your activities were generated, the guys worked on the activities, and then they recorded the response on the campaign, and they said, okay, we are done. Now this is the sales guys who have to take this. Let's say the customer is interested, you record that as a response that, okay, I talked to the customer is interested in buying the product, so from my side this is good to go. What you'll do is that you will close the campaign response, and during the close you can actually, this will be closed as you can actually create the campaign response, convert it to an opportunity. right from here. So you can convert it to a lead. So for example, this guy is interested. Now the sales guys have to take this as a lead. Or you say, no, I think this is a very interested customer. We don't want to create it as a lead. We'll simply link it to an existing account or contact or in the system, and we'll create an opportunity for that contact. Or we'll pick an existing lead. So let's say I just create another lead out of this, and let's say the campaign will be, the response will be closed, and the lead will be created out of this. And this lead will actually be linked back to the campaign from which the campaign response is generated. So this lead should have the data where it should tell which campaign it originated from. So actually this is now what is it providing? This is actually the whole marketing execution cycle in your campaign's execution. So you start with a campaign, you add some marketing list, you actually create some campaign activities, they are distributed, and the activities, they are promoted to the responses, and from responses you can actually then provide input for the sales by creating those as leads. So this is a kind of a customizable loop of executing the campaigns in MS Dynamics CRM, and you can actually go ahead without actually without creating the campaign response. So for example, if this activity that I looked for, where I actually worked upon, so I have got I have got a few more activities which are generated out of that campaign. I take one more activity, this one. So one of those I promoted through the response into the lead. The other one I say, well, doesn't matter, I don't get any bonus out of promoting that as a response. I simply go ahead and I'm also doing the sales, I'm also doing the marketing. I simply convert it to an opportunity right from the activity instead of going through the campaign response. So again, you actually make a shortcut from the activities which is generated directly into your sales. And once you have this lead created, you can actually see that the lead is linked back to the campaign also. So that actually means when you look at your data, you will see which leads are generated from which campaigns, which opportunities are generated from which campaigns, and that based on that you can actually calculate the effectivity of the campaigns that you executed. Having said that, I think we are already over the time for this webinar. I hope you got some useful information out of it. So just like usual, please do not hesitate to contact me or post any questions wherever you find necessary. Thank you very much and hope to talk to you again. Bye-bye.